What's up, everybody? Quentin here with Mid-South Outdoor Life, and today we're finally doing the boat tour that some of you have been asking for. I know that a number of you guys out there have noticed that I've been on quite the break or the hiatus from YouTube. I really haven't done much content lately, but rest assured, it's not because I haven't been fishing. It's just that since I got this new boat, things have changed a lot. I mean, I bought this boat completely unrigged, so I had a lot of work to do with it, but therein lies the point. I really wanted something new. A lot of you guys have been asking, why go from a pontoon to a boat like this? And that's it, man. Something new, something super capable, something I can cover great distances in a less amount of time, no matter what the water conditions. And that's what this boat has done for me. I gotta tell you, I've put a lot of time on it during this break. I've already got like 80 hours on the engine. I've trailered it over 8,000 miles. We've put thousands and thousands of pounds of blue cats in this boat. Lots of great fish for lots of guests. And those guests, I think, are a lot of the reason why I've been on such a break. I mean, when you get somebody new on the boat that's excited to go out and catch a personal best, sometimes taking the time to make a video can take away from that. And I didn't want to do that. So without any further ado, let's get this boat tour started. I'm going to show you my 2020 Smokercraft Phantom Catfish Edition. We're going to start at the front of the boat. Let's go. So I had to throw out some air quotes for the term Catfish Edition because, I mean, if we're being honest, this is pretty far removed from what most people would consider a catfishing boat. I mean, it's a Yankee boat, really, if we're being honest about it. It was built for the Great Lakes. It was built really close to the Great Lakes. At the time that I purchased it, there were only 2 in existence. I'm not sure if they've caught up since the COVID lockdowns, but when I bought it, there were only 2 in existence. So when I found this one and I checked it out really good and I realized it really fit the bill for what I wanted, I had to head on up there to Yankeeville, pick it up, bring it home, and make it my own. So here I am in the front of the boat, and as you can see, the front end of this boat is pretty small. It's a cab forward design where the cockpit is pushed far forward, leaving lots of room in the back of the boat, which we'll get to in a minute. And that leads me to one of the questions that I get really often. It relates to this deep front end and the high sides. People ask me, hey man, how are you going to throw a cast net off that boat? Well, the truth of the matter is this platform is great. It's plenty big and it already has tread plate on it. And this is generally where I throw the cast net most often. Sometimes even over on the gunnel. I've got some grip tape here for that. And the truth of the matter is it works out great. In fact, often when I'm up here on the front of the boat, this additional height from that floor down there makes it easier to clear out or to get my bait out of some of the larger nets. So it's actually worked out really well. Other than that, the front end of this boat is just big enough for one person to do some regular rod and reel fishing, casting for bass or any type of bait fish. So it gets the job done there. Got some storage up here. This was probably originally intended to be the anchor locker. However, I use it for life jackets and some extra rope. And it's even deep enough that I put my tripod and other camera equipment in there. Right behind that, this was intended to be a dry storage. And in fact, it was a dry storage with drains and all the proper setup for that. But I made it my anchor locker. I don't know if you can see in there, but I've got 250 foot of rope and an anchor and a whole bunch of extra sinkers up here. Yeah, so it makes a great anchor locker for that. And then right behind that, got a small live well here. I estimated at about 30 to 35 gallons, somewhere in that neighborhood. So not big enough for trophy catfish or tournament catfish, but certainly if you're wanting a few fish to take home and eat, this live well will help with that. I generally just put bait in it though, and it actually does a really good job of keeping that bait alive. In addition to the rather well-sealed windshield, there's another door that comes across here to really seal this off for wintertime fishing. And this entire front well is self-bailing. It doesn't have the drains on the sides like a lot of the typical catfish boats that you've seen. But this logo here, as well as these holes in the side, they're all drained, and they go to these big, I believe they're 2 to 2.5 inch lines that actually go straight out the transom to quickly evacuate water if you were to ever take a wave over the bow. Although, from what I've put this boat through so far, I don't see that happening. The windshield itself is not only well sealed, but really, really sturdy. It's an all welded design, welded directly to the consoles, which are just, welded to the gunnels in the hull. Very, very solid. I'm quite sure rather large people could climb around on this windshield and do yoga and all kinds of crazy shenanigans, and it wouldn't budge an inch. Okay, moving back into the cockpit. As you can see, it's plenty spacious. There's a lot of space in between the seats. There's a nice wide aisle on the steps there. And as I may have mentioned earlier, I bought this boat completely unrigged. So this dash panel right here is something that I made. It's all custom for the gauges that I needed. It had a dash panel in it, but this boat was originally designed to go to North American boat shows, and it was rigged with a motor that I wasn't interested in, and therefore the panel was laid out that way. So when I had them strip the boat down to just a bare hull, that meant that I had to start over with the dash plate. While I was at it, I went ahead and made a new glove box cover to match it. But yeah, so gauges set up the way I want it. A Helix 12 like I had on Lucille. The name of this boat, by the way, is Victoria Lucille. The boat has great storage. In fact, down here behind where the cooler was, there was a storage locker there on both sides up in front of your feet. And I liked those for a little while, but I actually like just the bulk space better. I put cordless fans down there, small coolers, tackle bags. This shelf right here wraps around all the way over here to where the throttle controls are, and I've got storage bins under there to kind of organize things. That's on both sides. The boat actually did not have any cup holders, which is weird to me. I'm big on cup holders. So I had to sink my own cup holders into it. There's one there you may or may not be able to see, and then some for when I'm spun around watching those rods. I've got cup holders over here. Over here on the port side, there's a really cool storage locker. I call it the pantry because I keep my pork rinds and my chips, a few spare bottles of water, canned meat, just, you know, stuff in case you, I don't know, need a few extra calories for the day. The glove box, I guess, is average size. We got it crammed full of all kinds of stuff. There's catch basins in front of both consoles where you can just put, you know, random tackle items or sweatshirts, whatever. Again, that lower shelf continues over here. Storage up underneath that lower shelf. All right, check out the belly storage. Nice sturdy lid that happens to be on some really nice high quality gas shocks. Quality is kind of the theme on this Smokercraft boat, I gotta be honest. If you guys have been, you know, in the boat market for any length of time and you've looked at some of the purpose-built Catfish boat, quality control doesn't appear to be high on the list for a lot of these boats. They would either lack those or those would suck. Anyway, back to the storage. I don't know how many gallons this is, but I've got 3 Group 31 AGMs in there to run my trolling motor. And then behind that, there's the cover for the sonar. There's a big toolbox in there with fish cleaning tools and regular tools. And then there's storage on each side of the batteries where I keep tackle boxes and stuff. We'll spin around this way to rod storage. This is something else that's different from stock. Straight from the factory, there was some brackets welded in to the side here with some of the rubber rod holder insert things, so that the rods would hang from the side. I didn't like that. I found it to be cumbersome. I much prefer just laying my rods on that lower gunnel. And I've also got some tubes up underneath the underside of the gunnel for running rods in 2 directions. I can easily put 6 to 8 rods per side. Anything over 8 rods a side is cumbersome, but 6 rods a side is nothing. So, you know, 12 rods on the boat it works great. You know, same thing over there. Tubes up underneath the gunnel, and then the gunnel shelf. As you can see, this floor is raised up off the deck a little bit with nice drains there that drain to the corners. You've got twin battery bins there, so if you want to run a dual starter battery setup, or you know, a separate battery for some of your electronics, like I run a standalone battery for my sonar, you got dual bins there for that. This track system that you see here running all the way around the boat, both top and bottom, super handy. They have a lot of the cutouts for you to put your T-bolts or nuts in there. Lots of places to put those in there so that you can add and remove different accessories at different times without it being a fight. And I actually used that track system to install my bait system that I'm really proud of. Well, bait and sinkers. So yeah, I don't know how well you can see it, but just some aluminum plates here, drilled to match the railing. I made this basket, so to speak, to hold and organize all my sinkers. And on top of it, you know, just a simple basket to hold the cooler with places to tie it down, with a cutting board on top of that, places to stick your rods. If you're in rough water and you want to stick your rods and your sinker right there so that they're not flailing about while you're trying to bait up, you got that option. The boat did come with a really nice washdown pump, and the hose was housed in there, but I'm not really a fan of those coiled hoses. So now I actually just have a tool roll in there, and I relocated where my washdown hose is located. It actually comes out of the splash pad, or excuse me, the splash well. Just wrap it around my sinker station there a few times so that I'll have enough to run all the way to the front of the boat if needed, and generally it's just hanging right there for general use here at the back. Of course, I stayed with monster rod holders. I had those on Lucille and they were awesome, so I went that route this time as well. I custom made these at the same time that I made the sinker station. They can slide forward and backward anywhere I want them, but generally they just stay there. So the boat is properly set up to anchor, to fish, you know, against a bank, to suspend, to drag, to do whatever it is that you want to do. A couple of 15-foot talons, lots of uses for those. Yes, you can use them as an anchor substitute. You can beach the front end of the boat and then stick those in the sand so that it can't get pulled off by currents. So there's just lots of different ways to use those. I went with the Suzuki 200 because they are quiet and smooth. So far I love it, although that does have the new gear ratio, which is a nightmare to find the right prop. That's been a battle. Again, smoker craft quality throughout. That bimini is awesome. It's by TaylorMade. It appears to be an all stainless frame. It's super sturdy. It's very easy to work with. It's got the quick connect posts on it. You can have it in the full up position like I have now. You can have it sitting back here, just like the whole thing rolled back and mounted to those quick connects on the gunnel to just have it back here and out of your way. You can go all the way to the floor, and then it's laid completely horizontal so it's not catching wind. That's how I haul it down the highway. Or you can even have it laid all the way forward on the windshield when it's, you know, when you don't want it open but you don't want it back here. So lots of options, all of them quick and easy. It's a super tight fit. I mean, they did not cut corners when it came to the bimini on this boat. I cannot say enough good things about smoker craft quality, at least in my experience. All right, let me give you a few of the specs about this boat that I think you guys might be curious about. Yes, it's a big, deep, heavy boat. The bottom of it is 160 thousandths aluminum, which is quite thick compared to most of its competitors. The sides and the top of the gunnel are 125 thousandths, which is as thick or thicker than most of the competitors. So it's a heavy boat. In fact, I've weighed it, completely geared out and full of fuel, ready to go for a day of fishing. It weighs about 5,300 pounds on the trailer. So it's no lightweight. And for that reason, it's no speed demon. I haven't yet seen 50 miles an hour out of it. In the winter, prop dried, it might possibly hit 50. Right now, it's upper 40s. But man, what a sweet riding beast. I've hit unbelievable stuff in this boat. Some of it by accident, just getting carried away in some barge rollers. And it takes it like a champ. It's a pretty impressive boat when it comes to rough water. Super stable. Even with a couple of guys back here, you know, maybe two guys on one side netting a big fish or something, it doesn't roll much. I'm really impressed and pleased with the hull of this boat. Fuel capacity, it's got a 58-gallon fuel tank. You can do some serious runs in this boat. That's a pretty fuel efficient motor. I have gotten more than 5 miles per gallon on certain trips. Running wide open, it runs about 3.2 to 3.3 or 4 miles per gallon. So fuel efficiency, not bad. No speed demon. I can hit the roughest water out there. Well, there you have it, folks. That's the quick and dirty of the 2020 Catfishing Edition Smokercraft Phantom. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos from this channel, like some fishing videos of us putting giant blue cats on the deck of this boat, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we put out a new video. Thanks for watching.
This production was brought to you by Battery Outfitters. With locations all over the Mid-South, they are your neighborhood battery store.